Come, Nerevar, come. Today, we will be breaking down the most unhinged Enwas you could ever meet in the Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion. Out of all of the games in the series, the sheer amount of chaotic alignments in Cyrodiil makes me even think how the mongrel dogs of the Empire even have an empire. This list does not include the denizens of the Shivering Isles, as they require their own separate sermon. We have plenty to go over in Cyrodiil, so without further ado, let's begin. Our first category is random citizens, and yes, Nerevar, in this place, forsaken by me, Dagoth Ur, you need categories for the unhinged. The more I look into it, the more I see that each category needs its own sermon. Yes, Nerevar, it is this bad. We start with the only non-Enwa. Oh, how I wish she was an Enwa, Falanu Hlaalu. The Dunmer alchemist in Skingrad, Falanu Hlaalu, is a fascinating individual. She runs the All Things Alchemical shop, with an incredibly disturbing penchant for those who are laid to rest, apparently. She asks you questions that are quite poignant. She wants to take certain liberties, and she got exiled from Morrowind due to her odd desires. Apparently, her first shop near Lake Rumar has been permanently closed after some unusual incidents occurred. While details are scarce, it is suspected that Falanu's unusual proclivities caused the burning down of her first shop. Let's see here, our next Enwa is Glarthir, who is a Bosmer and completely insane. What else is new? He's convinced everyone from the local baker to the friendly neighborhood guard is part of a vast conspiracy against him. Armed with sporks and spoons instead of knives and spells, Enwas Bernadette Penellis gives him a polite nod. Maracati selectives. Tutius Sextius looks at the same cloud as him, blades in disguise. Davide Surli's house is conveniently located for spying. Mastermind villain lair, obviously. The only people he talks to are figments of his imagination and the unfortunate soul he ropes into his delusions. His biggest fan club is the Skingrad Rumor Mill, and their motto is never trust a wood elf who whispers at pigeons. One disagreement, and this Bosmer goes from paranoid whisperer to axe-wielding maniac. It's like watching a teacup scrib morph into a rabid wolf, except with more existential dread. The only thing that the mongrel dogs of the Empire ever did right was put an end to him. Oh, and if you think we are done with these Bosmer Enwas, you would be absolutely and utterly mistaken. Nerevar, imagine if you will, you fight all of these Enwas and farm tools in the Imperial City arena, and you are approached by this short Jimmy Neutron-like Enwa Bosmer. His smile and enthusiasm are unnerving. The expression on his face looks like he's been eating sour grapes. Those buck teeth of his would be better suited to the mouth of a rodent. You might be asking Nerevar, what is so unhinged about him? Well, it is his utter devotion to the Grand Champion. He is willing to go as far as worshipping the ground that the champion walks on. The whole meaning of his life is following and admiring the Grand Champion. Can you believe how unhinged this is, Nerevar? He would be better off worshipping me, Dagoth Ur. Anyhow, I find leading him off somewhere nice and private, such as the Gerald Mountains, then zapping the poor cretin with a little lightning spell to be quite cathartic. Moving on, we have an unhinged farm tool, and by that I mean unhinged from his chains. Dar Jee from Leowin. You know, that place stuck between two farm tool countries, that horrid Argonian and his pathetic attempts at humor. As if that was not enough, he jokes about being another type of farm tool, a Khajiit. The only thing that can be said about him, really, is that he is the very epitome of an unscrupulous individual. He does not make any sense, and his behavior certainly makes him unhinged. You cannot speak with him normally because he will keep making farm tool after farm tool joke. Yes, I understand that he does not fit the bill of a random citizen, but he is so low on the Thieves Guild totem pole, he is just a random merchant for our purposes. If you are enjoying this sermon, please don't forget to honor the 6th house and the tribe unmourned by raising your thumb, subscribing to my sermons, and writing names of even more unhinged Enwas and farm tools on the parchment down below. Also, if you want to make a sermon of your own, check out those Enwa voice wizards at 11 Labs by exploring the inscription above and below on the parchment. Moving on, the next Enwa is the ever-annoying Mazoga the Orc, who used to be a bandit, and now, after the breakage of her farm tool friend Ravindra, she suddenly decides to be a knight. And you know what is even worse? A farm tool named Weebam-Na recommends her. Who does this Enwa think she is? She is a former bandit, acts like a bandit, and now we have to entertain the fact that she is a knight. What a grand and intoxicating innocence. The mongrel dog count of Leowin will even scold you if she perishes during the quest named after her. Seriously, why does he want a bandit as a knight? I mean, what else do you expect from a place stuck between two farm tool countries? That is not all, Nerevar. You get to go on a second quest with her, and now she is officially a knight, even though she still has the mannerisms of a bandit. Either way, she is one of the most jumbled up and chaotic characters from Cyrodiil. A brief mention goes to Farwil Indarys, the Count of Cheydinhall's son. He is not unhinged, but mostly stupid for going into the gates of Oblivion, to a place where destiny is made, unprepared. He definitely borders on unhinged, and is almost as insane as Mazoga. I mean, I know only one other Dunmer that does this. You also have Snak Gra-Bura, the Enwa orc that owns Chestnut Handy Stables. And through the conversations with her, you find out that they do not sell horses, but instead this is a front business made to satisfy the hunger of the owner. Seriously. She brags about eating horses with onions. She does sell you the last remaining horse she has, and she does create horse armor. Oh, don't get me started on that Nerevar. It just works. Let's leave it at that. Then you have Agamir, the Enwa Nord grave robber, who even has a book called Macabre Manifest. He takes goods, gold, trinkets, and other things from the recently deceased, and sells them to Thoronir, who is, of course, a Bosmer. We can't have anything unhinged without at least some Bosmer involvement. While this is definitely not the best behavior, what makes him unhinged is the unusual interactions. He cannot be persuaded, and he is always hostile and is entirely off his mind. I mean, seriously, you can already tell that the man is problematic. You have to be a little unhinged to be involved in grave robbing Nerevar. The jury is out on Thoronir, though. It is unknown how much of this madness he was aware of. Of course, the most unhinged random citizen in Cyrodiil is the hero of Kvatch, who progressively becomes so unhinged that he becomes Sheogorath, the Daedric prince of madness himself. I mean, two things that remain unanswered throughout this sermon. Why does he know the answer to Falanu Hlaalu's particular question? Also, why does Glarthir not trust anyone, but is very adamant about speaking to the hero of Kvatch, and only turns on him if he is not assisted in his paranoid delusions? Perhaps the hero of Kvatch was always destined to become Sheogorath, or upon completion of the Shivering Isles quest, he naturally attracts unhinged individuals. You can watch my sermon on the hero of Kvatch in the inscription down below. Well, Nerevar, stay tuned for the next part of this sermon, where we will cover more unhinged characters such as skooma dealers, hackdirt brethren, necromancers, Dark Brotherhood members, Shivering Isles residents, Mythic Dawn sleeper agents, a gang in Anvil robbing simps and other Enwas, and farm tools. Neither Skyrim nor Morrowind has this many unhinged individuals. If you like to make sermons similar to mine, or use Enwas to narrate less desirable sermons, be sure to visit the wizards at 11 Labs for their primary voices. Click on the inscriptions down below to get started. Don't forget to honor the 6th house and the tribe unmourned by raising your thumb, subscribing to my sermons, and writing on the parchment down below. I would like to thank all my patrons and members, as well as the adoring fan of the realm, Connor Runda, and the current Sharmats of the Earth Realm, Dane Schneider and Tanya Davis. Also, a big thanks to the Elder Scrolls Wiki and the unofficial Elder Scrolls pages.